Hello all, it is Joanna, and I decided to make a video today. I got a little bit lazy writing, and I just thought I would say what I was going to be writing. Most of this is aimed at people who are new to diagnosis or fairly new in the whole world. That can be even post-treatment, of course. Something that comes up quite a bit, and it's important to mention this so you guys can be conscious of it when it happens to you. And that is that when we get a cancer diagnosis, think of it this way. In the 60s, in the 1960s, and even in the 70s also, when people got a cancer diagnosis, one, it wasn't talked about very much, and two, it was the type of diagnosis that people would think, oh no, because so many cancers were simply not survived. Now, it's such a different thing. 40 and 50 years later, we're living in a world where everybody seems to know cancer. So many people have had it, and everybody has an opinion about it. And so when we get a diagnosis, people jump in to lovingly, mind you, very lovingly, offer such comments as, "You're a warrior. You're going to do fine. You are so strong. You are such a strong person. I know you're going to do okay. I know that you don't have to worry because you are going to be fine. You are a warrior. You can do this. You've got this." Well, those sentences are lovely, and they're usually meant absolutely sincerely by those people who offer those to us. And at the same time, they have a double edge, and that is that many times we feel like we have to live up to an expectation that we are these superheroes, these warriors who constantly are ready for battle, and certainly we just don't always feel like that. And it's very nice to be compared to warriors and invincible heroes that for whom this is just a walk in the park. But frankly, there's lots of days when we don't feel like warriors. We don't feel so strong, and that's part of the whole emotional spectrum. And we don't want to just pay attention to the positive side. We also want to pay attention to all the emotions we're feeling: sadness, anger, fear, depression, sorrow. And so I know that sometimes people, even I have felt guilty for not living up to this expectation of superheroism and a constant smile and positive attitude. Obviously, those are really good. That's not my point. However, to only pay attention to the positive side and to a positive attitude is incomplete. It does not include those times when we aren't feeling that way. And that's okay. There's nothing, it's normal and it's understandable that we're going to have moments that are really difficult. And I'm so happy you're here because we all get it in this group. And you've got a place to be where people really, really get this. I was writing, and so I'm going to go with what I've written here to not lose track here. Sometimes we can feel guilty, as I said. Sometimes we can feel impatient with ourselves, like, I'll get with it. I'm being really silly and sentimental. I'll get with the program. We need to stop that. When we're experiencing these very, very normal, understandable feelings, we need to be gentle with ourselves. We need to just cool it a little bit and not expect ourselves to constantly be models of heroism and valor. One thing that I am, and I've worked with for many, many years, decades, is grief. I'm a grief counselor, and lots of people associate grief with death, and that's not. That also is incomplete. Grief, yes, it deals with death, but more than anything, grief is simply the experience of the loss of something that's very meaningful to us, and that can cause grief. And that could be the loss of a job, the breakup of a relationship, the loss of a pet. It can be a move, a physical move from house to another place. It can be many things that throw us into an experience of bona fide, real grief. It is a sorrow over loss that's meaningful to us. Well, a cancer diagnosis can really, really occasion full-on, absolute experiences of grief. It's a loss of many things. It's a loss of security. It's a loss of the feeling of innocence about our lives. It suddenly is a slamming, sort of rude and frightening wake up. And this loss of so many things, loss of our everyday routine as we're in treatment, possible loss of the way we've had our lives completely heretofore. My life certainly has never been the same. There's much, much loss that we have going through this. And so your reactions of grief are normal. Let me tell you what they are so you can recognize them in yourself. First of all, spaciness. You're going to be out of it and you're not going to be efficient emotionally or mentally. You'll be spacey. You won't be as organized as usual. You will be forgetful. You're just not going to really be together as you are in everyday life. You can be moody, very moody, and the moods can come unpredictably. You know how it is that you feel like you're doing really well and you're going along, and then all of a sudden the stupidest little thing can catapult you into these horrible, like, bouts of feeling utter despair or tears or anger. It can change so easily, and that's because it's right under the surface. Just right under that surface of our being really good is the emotion of fear or whatever the negative stuff is that's very real to us. We can also have physical fallout of grief. Grief, believe it or not, and other types of tension, they dehydrate us faster than living your normal life does. When you're in grief, do me a favor and do yourself a favor, better said. Drink as much as you can. Have water next to you and sip it. Tea, whatever it is that you can get some liquid into your system, that's going to help you. It's just something that will help you a lot. We can have headaches, certainly a generalized anxiety about things, and just a sense of darkness about everything. And that's just normal grief over loss. And as long as you recognize that in yourself, you can handle it a lot better, because you can say, that's what's happening to me. I understand it. And the best thing is not to be impatient with yourself at all, because then you shove things down and they come up in other ways that are never good. And so the best thing is to look at what you're feeling and identify it. I'm feeling grief, or I'm feeling upset, and say, yeah, that's okay. And then please treat yourself as you would imagine that a loving mother would treat you. Be very nurturing to yourself. Be very gentle to yourself. Be patient as you are spacey and moody and uneven in your personality and in your everyday way of being. Be very gentle to yourself. How to deal with it? I've written down a couple of little things that can help. One, distraction. And distraction can come in any form. Anything that might pull your attention out of that experience and sort of breaks it up is helpful. That can be calling a friend, a visit with somebody over online. It could be a movie. It could be anything that will pull your head out of that attention. Little rituals are really useful. Whether you're a male or a female, it doesn't make any difference. Things that you set aside for yourself that are little favors to yourself are really important right now. I'm thinking of a few of them. I'm gonna read them down. Call a friend. Call a friend you know who gets it, so you don't have to act all happy. Call a friend and just say, you know what, God, today's a crappy day. And then you go from there. Sometimes the simple pronouncing the words is a release. It can give you a release, and it can be uplifting just to say the words to somebody. Equally, come here, tell us, pour out your heart, give us your woes, because believe me, if you post it, there are many other people who are feeling the exact same thing. It's well received here with us. Breathing exercises. These sound silly, but if you practice these, and I mean practice them, you will become really good at them. And the one that I could do, because I'm a very high nervous energy person who gets impatient, I thought, I'll never do a breathing exercise. And the one that I learned is really cool because it literally only lasts a couple of seconds. And basically that is breathe in through your nose as deeply as you possibly can. That's comfortable. And hold it. Hold it inside. Hold it in for as long as comfortable. Then blow it out through your mouth. I don't know why, but there's theories behind this. Blow it through your mouth out very slowly, controlled. Don't just let it all out. Blow it out very, very slowly, like until you unload all of that air. If you do that a couple of times, and then you start practicing that, it becomes a really cool little tool to have in your toolbox. I do it when I'm angry at red lights, for example. Sometimes I walk into the bathroom and I do it, but it works. And I know this from practicing it with hesitant groups in a support groups, live face-to-face support groups. It works. And you'll find that it's a silly little tool and it works. And that can be one of your little rituals for yourself. Let's see, what else? Come and post here. Watch a show that you love or that you can dive into. And the most important thing is that you practice these approaches more than one time. The one as I say, the one I did that I was successful with was the breathing exercise because one, it's short. You can do it. You can do several of those little rounds of breathing and exhaling in a minute, literally a minute's time. But in your mind, you're doing this completely dedicated to yourself. You're doing it completely with you, nothing else in mind. For that minute, you dedicate it completely to yourself. And that will be a little tool of yours. Gosh, there was a lot more that I thought I was going to say, but I think I'm going to stop here and get to a lot of other work that's at hand. But I just want to say welcome to everybody here. I'm so glad you found us. I'm glad you're here. Use the group. Post anything you want anytime. If anybody gets it, it's we. We really get this stuff. So I wish you a rest of your day that's very, very pleasant or at least tolerable for those of you who aren't feeling real good. And we will see each other around the neighborhood. Okay, bye.